This episode of Blood Money is brought to you by FreshFarmsCBD.com, the best American-made CBD products on the market.
Welcome to Blood Money. This is Vem Miller here, and for my guest today, I have Rubin Young, who's a Republican that's running for Congress District 23 against Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, in my opinion, is one of the most despicable politicians because of what she did to Bernie Sanders a few years ago. I was a big fan of Bernie at that time. I am no longer a big fan because I'm simply not a fan of socialism. But I am a fan of democracy. I am a fan of non-authoritarian behavior. And what Debbie Wasserman Schultz did in robbing Bernie of the nomination for her buddy Hillary Clinton, who now we're learning, as Trump has been saying, that she did a bunch of, or her people did a bunch of illegal things. A lot more to be discovered with the Durham report and the Durham investigations as to how involved Hillary Clinton was. But I think we all know Hillary Clinton as somebody who bends the laws, breaks the laws. And on behalf of Hillary Clinton, Debbie Wasserman Schultz robbed Bernie of the nomination. And not only did he get robbed once, but he got robbed twice because of this inter-party politics, because of this authoritarian behavior. So, Rubin Young, tell me a little bit about what you're doing, how you're running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and about your candidacy.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, my name is Rubin Young. I'm a Republican running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Florida Congressional District 23. And I'm not new to politics. I ran. My very first race was back in 1990 when I became the first African American to run for Miami-Dade County Clerk of Court, and that's a countywide race. So a lot of the people that vote for her in the district, they voted for me countywide. And I've been pursuing those types of efforts because I've been trying to put myself in a position to correct some of the wrong. I once worked for the Florida House of Representatives as a district manager, a district legislative assistant too. That means I was helping engage, and I was running a district for the state of Florida for a state representative. And I had the opportunity of learning to do bill drafting, had the opportunity to learn to put in money requests to what they call appropriation bills. I had the opportunity to work with various committee members and some of the staff and got a good feel of the legislative process. So I have that with a lot of the candidates in my race. They don't have that. But what makes me and set me aside and what makes me unique, I have name ID. I have just as much name ID as Debbie Wasserman Schultz, someone that I'm doing everything I can day and night to get out that seat, because I know that she's bad for America and I know that she's bad for Florida. But last year, I ran again for the position against another do-nothing Democrat named Harvey Rubin. And I got close to 300,000 votes. But, I walked away from the Democratic Party because I could no longer allow my soul to be compromised. I could no longer allow this party to mess up my entry into heaven because of the lies that it constantly tells and because of the trickery it plays on you, me, and the voters. So I'm here running. I got close to 300,000 votes. Debbie got 228,000 votes in a district. And that's a D+9 district. So there's really no real set mandate. That means in that district you are out, because Democrats are going to always enjoy that district and Republicans are going to always enjoy 41% of district. But what sets from the rest of everyone and what I'm doing differently, I'm a grassroots guy. I hit the ground. I knock on doors. I shake the hands and I kiss the babies. And I let people ask me questions and engage. And right now, currently, I'm running on a petition. I'm doing everything I can to show the American people, you, me, and everyone else, that I'm not owned by anybody. If you look at my campaign reports, you don't see me receiving a lot of my money out of state like you do see some other candidates. And this money is not even come within the district. But what coming from out this district is this. I'm running with a lot of heart. And I'm running because I want to get to that Congress, and I want to call these individuals out, and I want to put America first, and I want to put this district first. When I cast my vote, I want my vote to mean something. So this is a little bit about me, Ben, and I thank you for this opportunity to come on your program.
So for people that don't understand what running by petition means, could you explain what that means?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So what that means is that right now, currently, in order for me to be competitive, I have to run to get my name on the ballot by petition. What that does allow me as a candidate in the state to get my name on the ballot and waives the $10,440 filing fee. Now, this is a participatory Republican participatory process. And filing fees in other places are very, very low. But these high filing fees in the Florida, it kind of weed out individuals who may be good for America, but they don't get a chance to run. And they don't get a chance to get their name on the ballot so people can vote for them. So I'm running to waive that filing fee, that $10,440, and I'm running to get my name on the ballot so I can be competitive, so I can take on Debbie and call her out because she know who I am. I created a brand because I've been running in various things, engaging, involving myself over the last 30 years. So I'm kind of like a household name in Miami-Dade County. When you mention the name Rubin Young, you're going to always find somebody saying, that's the guy that will help you. That's the guy to give the shirt off his back. And I want to continue that, helping people and continue to run and to now win because this is our season and this is our time. So that's what I'm doing. I'm running to get my name on the ballot by waiving that high filing fee, which when I get in Congress, we need to start addressing things like that.
Why is there a $10,000 filing fee? That just sounds kind of ridiculous and makes it where only kind of elite types could automatically put up $10,000.
You said it. You said it well. They want the country to belong to the elite, people who can afford to write a check for $10,000, and people like me and you, the grassroots. The voices at the bottom of the barrel. We don't get a chance to participate in our government because these filing fees are just too high. And so I think that if we're going to talk about having an exchange of ideas, and if we're going to talk about people giving everybody an opportunity to participate in their government, because you understand what the word politic means. Politic means it's honorable. It's to mean that every citizen has a duty and a responsibility to participate and to make their government better, but they have made it to where it's sour people, where people don't even want to get involved in the process. So that filing fee is too high. I know it's too high. You know it's too high. And we need to start talking about why is it that in some states, the filing fee to get on that name and this is for the state of Florida, because that money goes to the state of Florida. And if you run under a party label, then the party charge an assessment to use the party's name. So if you want to run as a Democrat, and you file and get in the ballot, you have to pay whatever the party assessment. I think in Florida, it's about $3,000. So it's all about divvying up who gets what and how much. But we really have to look at that because I believe that this is our country and that everybody should be able to run and win these seats without these elite doing everything they can to keep people out like me and you.
So Rubin, tell the listeners a little bit about your policies and also what you intend to do. How is Rubin Young going to go into Congress and change the immense corruption that's happening?
One of the things I want to do, I want to be a strong advocate for our small businesses. You know, small businesses fuel the economy. Small businesses employ people within our communities. Just recently, we had a fake demic. We had a virus that was not a real virus, but we had a government that put the small business owner in such a peril because they shut down the whole country because of this alleged coronavirus, this pandemic. So small businesses need an advocate. Small business needs someone to go and to try to find and identify as many resources as they can because, I grew up in the inner city. And in the inner city, Ben, they don't get the kind of resources that other communities receive across this nation. And small business administrations are not going into some of these areas. They're completely abandoned. And that's throughout. So I want to be an advocate. I want to go to Congress. I want to strengthen some laws, put some laws in the book, amend some laws that put the small business owner back in the driver's seat. So whenever the resources that are available, whether it be through monies to add on to a business, monies to bring on additional personnel, they don't have to do as much struggling. I know small businesses right now that's trying to pay the rent, trying to pay the lights, trying to pay for the garbage to be picked up from the business. There's a lot of suffering out here, a lot of struggle. That's one thing I want to do. So you'll see me on the floor constantly advocating for our small business owner. Another thing, I'm a supporter of school choice. I believe that parents and grandparents, they should have the right to determine whether a child received the best quality educations so that that child can compete globally. They need those resources. Schools is I'm a strong proponent. I think the governor of the state of Florida is also a strong proponent, Ron DeSantis. And I know that for a fact because when I worked in the Florida House of Representatives, I saw a strong advocate in the governorship as how he allowed parents these hope loans or these money to send their children to private school. Another thing, almost election integrity. I've been on the fight for election integrity since 1990 when I first had an election stole from me, Ben, when I ran for office in 1990 as Miami-Dade County Clerk of Court. I didn't know what to call it back then, but I knew that it wasn't right. I knew that an individual should not walk into a seat and never campaign, never spend a dime like I did, going around trying to get the vote and just walk into that seat. So I knew something was wrong, and that's when I wrote Bob Butterworth. Back then, he was the Attorney General, but I didn't get no response. But it allowed me and put me on this journey to try to correct some wrongs. And election integrity is one of the strongest things that I will be putting forth legislation, looking at some laws, looking at presenting some new bills, and supporting what Governor Ron DeSantis just recently did with SB 90. And we have to constantly keep our eyes on our election because we're allowing people to come in, these very, very bad people. We're allowing them to take our government from us because they're putting people in our government that have no interest in service. This government is for the people and by the people and all the people. And we're allowing people to come and change our constitutional form of government because of greed and because they want to have access to these resources. That must end. And that's why I believe that my voice is important. Another thing, the rule of law, Ben. This country is completely and totally out of control with organizations now popping up like BLM and Antifa and murdering people and destroying our history, pulling down statues of importance to this country because it tells us how far we have come in America. It's just wrong. So the law and order component is where I want to work with our law enforcement, work with our boots on the ground, and ensure that they have the resources, not defund the police like Debbie Wasserman Schultz is saying with her party, but supporting the police and giving them the necessary resources like our military, giving them the necessary resources so they can have our back and have a proper defense. So those are some things that I stand for. I'm pro-life. I believe in protecting children in their mother's womb. I believe in our Second Amendment. I believe in the safety and the security of our nation, and every citizen's rights to own a gun should not be infringed on by the Biden administration and others that want to render our country defenseless when you talk about taking away our guns. There's two things you don't do in Florida. You don't touch our guns and you don't touch our children.
Man, tell me a little bit about this election that was stolen from you. What happened there?
Well, okay, so we had an individual that you had not seen in over 20 plus years. It never did any campaigns. His name was Rubin. I ran a good grassroots campaign. I mean, I went to all the meetings. I shook a lot of hands. I went to a lot of club meetings. I started building relationships. I did all the things that I thought I needed to do because of the experience I have in campaigning. But this guy had not campaigned, although he's the incumbent, but people really don't know him because you have a new wave of people registering to vote, a lot of young people. They don't know him because he's been around since the 1960s. So they didn't know him, but they knew me. They know that I'm the kind of guy that hit the ground running. They shaved in this state, about 500,000 people from the voters roll. It was 1.5 million people in Dade County that votes. They shaved us about 400,000, 500,000. So they put me in a position to where they gave him the advantage because when the final vote count came, he ended up with about 400,000 mail-in ballots. And let's talk about these mail-in ballots. This guy received over 400,000 mail-in ballots. And you ask the question, how did he get that kind of support? Through mail-in ballot. So I believe there was a lot of fraud. They did that in this race. They did that in my race. And they did that in President Trump's race. And this is the new scheme of the Democrat. I recently was in Broward County. I saw up close and personal that wherever there's an election in Broward County, the first thing that happened is a data breach. The data breach comes from the Broward County School Board, and that information allegedly end up in our election. Because what they do, Ben, they take this breach information allegedly. That information includes names of parents, it includes addresses of parents, it includes date of birth of parents, and it includes voter registration information of parents. And a lot of the parents, especially a lot of the senior citizens, Ben, they found themselves voting in elections that they never voted in. And when they tried to make an attempt to vote, it was told that had already voted. And you remember that took place last year too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is how the Democrats have been beating us across this country. They've been committing these mail-in ballot fraud. They've been committing absentee ballot fraud because the definition of an absentee ballot, what you're saying to this state is you're saying this, that I'm not going to be in town, that I'm going to be on vacation on the Bahamas, but I still want to vote. So I'm going to be voting by absentee ballot. That means that I'm nowhere around, I'm nowhere to be seen. So I'm going to vote by absentee. Mail-in ballot. Mail-in ballot definition is this. That means that, hey, this is what's going to happen. Because of the conditions that's taking place with this pandemic, I don't want to expose myself nor my family to any of these conditions that may exist at the precinct. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to vote by mail-in ballot. That means I'm going to mail my ballot in, and I want my vote to be counted. I'm not coming down to the precinct. I'm not coming down because of whatever is going on at the precinct, but I want you to count my ballot, count me as a mail-in ballot. Well, evidently the election departments are not educating the voters enough, because you have voters that are making requests for absentee ballot, taking the ballot down once they're done. They don't put it in the mail. They say, well, I'm going to save me a stamp. Taking the ballot, go and drop it off now what they call these drop boxes. Now, that's a violation of the law. Whether they know it or not, they just broke the law because they created a falsehood. And because these locally supervised elections are not explaining this process to voters, they are helping them to commit crimes. So they go down, they vote, they turn their ballot in instead of putting it in the mail like they said they would do. And that's the same thing that I saw at these precincts. You had a lot of mail-in ballot requests, alleged mail-in ballot requests being. And a lot of these people received these ballots by mail, and they went to the precincts to turn them in. And oftentimes they may not be the person who signed off on the ballot. They may be a family member or it may be a friend, but we still don't know that because the supervisors of election are not requiring these individuals to sign these affidavits. They're supposed to sign affidavits, and when they go and turn that ballot in, they're supposed to present that affidavit saying that they were given permission to drop these ballots off. So I think there's a voters education is what really, really is important. We don't see that. We see misinformed voters, and that has to stop. And I'm going to be the one that want to put as much information out there so I can have a strong district. I can have a very viable district, and then I can have a district that's self-sustaining and self-supporting. Because I'm going to talk about job creation. I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship, self-sustaining, helping the business, working with business so we can generate enough taxes to help the district, Ben. That's what you don't hear. People are not talking that talk, and they're not walking that walk, but I'm going to talk the talk and I'm going to walk the walk. So those are some of the policy positions that I've taken a stand on. And that's why when I get to Congress, with your help, I want to make a difference.
So what you're saying is that back in 1990, they were using this whole mail-in ballot scam to basically screw you?
Well, back in the 1990s, they used a lot of tools to take advantage of voters, people who, like myself, that ran during that time frame. That was one of the things that they did. Back then also we used to do the paper chat, and we had people go down to the precincts and they take the pen and they punch through the ballot, and oftentimes that a ballot won't get counted if the person didn't punch all the way through. But you can see the intent. You can see that there was some pushing on that chat to try to get it to go through, and oftentimes they didn't count ballots like that, especially in the early 1990s. But the fraud has been a major problem since the early 1800s. I mean, all this county have done, especially Miami-Dade County, have gotten good at cheating, gotten good at altering our destiny, gotten good at making sure that the right people don't get in these seats because of the good old boy network. Because this is all about money. This is all about the taking of land. This is all about making sure that, like you said, that some of the elite are the ones who take advantage of all the resources, Ben. I mean, it's the same playbook, whether it was in the 1990s or whether it's in the 2020s, the same old play. Fraud is fraud. You and I must now join together to put an end to that fraud. And this is why I want my voice to be on the scene so I can share some of these experiences. And like what I did with President Trump when he was going around, he was telling the country that there's some fraud. I sent him every document that I had over the years. See, election fraud is this. When you allow a local supervisor, Ben, to violate state law, state election law, then they are now entering into fraud because these early voting requirements, 14-day voting. If you look at the general law, the general statute that deals with early voting, it's only 7 days. But now a lot of the different local supervisors, they're now going for 14 days. So they want to give their person that they're supporting, because a lot of these local supervisors, they are partisan. They're supposed to be nonpartisan, but they are partisan. They are in the background, behind the scenes, trying to make sure that the person that they support wins. So they extend these days of voting to about 14 days, giving the advantage to a well-financed campaign, a campaign who has tons of money, because you know how Democrats do. They think that they raise a whole lot of money and you don't have enough money, that's enough to scare you out the race. Well, I'm not running for money. So money won't scare me out the race because I never had any. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, Ben. So money is not going to make me say, well, you got too much money, I bet not run. That's not how I work. I mean, I was an athlete. I'm very competitive. I believe that if you give me just a fraction of what that candidate had, I'm gonna take lemon to make lemonade out of it. So that's how I think, Ben. I think that way. I'm very conservative in my approach and very conservative in my thinking. So, Ben, you have somebody that's here running to try to put an end to this fraud. And like I was telling a lot of people, you don't have to have physical evidence. You just have to look at the technicalities of saying, well, the statute says this, and they allowed this or they permitted this, then they now have entered into fraud. And the statute deals with corrupt election practices. That's in chapter 104. That's in our election law. It calls supervisors of election out there, and it put them on notice that if you commit a corrupt election practice, then you just committed fraud and you just entered into that area where you should be put away and locked up.
Talk a little bit about, like you were saying that I guess there was a time when Debbie Wasserman Schultz got 240,000 votes, but you were saying you had 300,000 votes?
Okay, so in 2020 I ran.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm not new to the process. So when I first ran my very first race, they recorded me as having 21,000, and then they recorded my opponent having 38,000. And then as the years went by, I decided I would do it again. I did it in 2016 because I've always, I once worked for the courthouse, worked on the Richard Brinker. And I was the very first person to ever filed for that office because everyone thought that was an appointed office, and it was not an appointed office. And because I worked there, I came across the job description for the clerk. The only thing I did wrong, I went and thought I would tell other people that the position is actually elected, and I created problems for myself because they went and got a guy named Marshall Ada. He got in the race. He was a former judge. No one else had the clerk experience. They had to go get him out of retirement, and he won. And he was a good friend of Harvey Rubin. They had been friends since the 1980s, according to the information that I came across. So, in 1992, the position was up again. He let Harvey Rubin have the seat because I looked at the records. Marshall Ada actually won the seat, according to what I saw. I mean, I could be wrong, but for some reason, he didn't run to win the seat the very first time. He ran to try to stop me from getting the seat, and that's what he did. And then he gave it to Harvey Rubin in 1992, and Harvey Rubin been in the seat. But I ran before Harvey Rubin. And what I was saying about the race in 2020. They got me now recorded as with 278,000 votes. That's almost 300,000. But it's 278,000, and I ran in a county-wide race. What I was saying about Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she ran in a district. I ran a county-wide race. I ran where every voter in Miami-Dade County would cast their vote for me, and I got 278,000 votes. Thank the good Lord, because all these years they've been keeping my numbers very, very low. And I tell people, the people with the lowest numbers are the person may have gotten the highest number, but they want to weaken the person's voter credibility. They want people to say, he's not electable or she's not electable. So I received 278,000 votes countywide then. And this is why I say I have just as much name ID, because in the district that she ran in, I ran in the county that had way more people in it than she had. And so she knows that I have the name recognition. She knows that I have the name ID to be competitive, because the votes that she received last year was 228,000. And that wasn't because of a mandate. That's because in this county, that's a D+9 district. And what that means that if you take 50, and if it's a D+9, then you take 9% or 9 votes from the Republican. That will put that person at 41. You add those 9 votes to the Democrats, since it's a D9, that would give the Republicans always 58 or 59% of the vote. So that's how you break those numbers down. So that was no mandate. It's just the local supervisor of election, in my opinion, allegedly, what they do is make sure that people like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, they give them all the votes that they need to come out and win. And that's what I meant when I said about Harvey Rubin. They gave him the votes that he needed to win, because they know that these districts are cut to be Democrat 9%. That's what a D+9, and then Republicans get whatever remaining. So this is what I'm saying, Ben, how you can actually look at fraud. Fraud don't have to be visible in your eyesight. You just got to see, you got to see it, you got to know, and you have to taste it when you come across it. And it's because I've been at this for so long, I know the scheme that they play. They really educated me. I've been hurt so bad over the years with this political process that it's made me tougher than when I first started. I'm not that 28-year-old kid anymore. I'm this 60-year-old man, and I'm now somebody that knows how to actually go at it and how to try to fix it. And I did it when I provided President Trump the information that he needed from all those years of my documenting, and from all those years that I've taken on these elections, Ben, and I filed disputes in any and every election, because there's some fraud involved, and we just got to break through the bubble. And I'm a grassroots guy. I'm a ground guy. You know, I learned that discipline when I was in the Army. I served 2.5 years in the military back in the 1980s. I went into that delayed entry program in 1980 January. Then I ended when my brother got killed in Texas by a police officer. He was a specialist 4, a specialist 5 in the military station in Fort Hood, Killeen, Texas. But I'm not out here talking about defund the police. I'm not one of those ones that's angry enough to where I want to tear this country down by leaving this country defenseless by saying defund the police, like Debbie is now uttering it with the Democratic Party. So it was heartbreaking. It was a challenge. But she knows that I'm the only person in this race that would give her a serious run for her money. So she knows that I'm coming. You'll see that my numbers are climbing each and every day with these petitions. I'm at now to 1,991. I've been pretty much out there by myself, because I thought that, as a Republican, like I used to tell people in the military, veterans look out for veterans. I assume that our Republicans would look out for Republicans, but in all cases, it's not true, because people are busy, Ben. People are doing other things. They don't have time to focus on this process like me and you are focusing on this process. So for over a year now, I've walked slow, but I'm now almost at the finish line. I need another 560 some votes. I mean, petitions. And
so if you have 560 more votes, then you could basically get on the ballot without having to pay the 10,000.
Amen. So I need 560 some more petitions.
How long did it take you to get the 1,000 plus?
Okay, so when I first started, they told me I needed 1,182. I got it in 3 months. I got 1,400. I was getting ready to turn them in July, and then the numbers went up to 2,568. So they knew I was getting ready to slap them with a good size amount of petitions. But can I just be truthful? They deflated me. I was deflated. It took me 2 months to get back in the groove. And since August of last year, September of last year, I've been at full pace now. So I thank good Lord for that. that energy and that strength. Cause I'm 60 years old, man. I'm no spring chicken.
Let's say you get in the race, which I'm confident you will. How are you going to overcome all the kind of shenanigans that are to be expected from the powers that be?
Well, they know me. They know that I'm not their guy. May not be a lot of people's guy, but they know that I stay focused. They can. Let me tell you a story. When I first ran, there was a guy who worked in my campaign. He was my campaign manager. His name was Hubert James. And he was a very active person. Everyone knew him. He was always on radio, doing different things in the community. But I'm gonna tell you something. He really, by being my campaign manager, he led me to the wolves. And on the day of qualifying, he came to me and told me to drop out the race. And he said if I didn't drop out the race, he was gonna take all his staff, because I let him bring all the people that he knew. I let him bring his whole team to my campaign. And what he did, Ben, was very hurtful, very painful. On the day of qualifying, he told me if I didn't drop out the race, he's going to take everybody. I said, well, you do what you have to do, because I'm not getting out the race. And he got up, he told everybody to leave, and he left me out there by myself. So the powers be, I know who they are. I know what they look like. I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to keep running my race, going to all the events that I did like I did last time. Be seen all over the place, asking people this one phrase. This is what I tell folks. Please vote for me. People like a respectful person. And I ask people very respectfully to cast their vote, give it to me, because I'm going to make a difference. I'm not going to take advantage of it. I'm going to use it to the best benefit of this nation now that I'm running for Congress. That's how I'm going to overcome the powers that be. Keep my head in the ground. They can do what they want to do. They can do what they want to do, as they have done all the years, man. I'm in it to win it. I'm not here to be cute or nice.
Do we need people that understand what's happening on the streets? I've always said this. People need to understand what's happening on the streets, Main Street, and enough of these Wall Street politicians that are authoritarians. I mean, we've seen where that has gotten us, you know?
Man, I lived as a homeless man once. Once upon a time in my life, I lived on the streets. And I prayed to God that, Lord, if you get me off these streets, I will make a difference. I no longer judge people that I see living on the bridges or out here trying to make ends meet. I understand the problems of the pain, in which a lot of the people that's running this race, they have never had any hard times like this in their life. And Debbie certainly have not, because if she did, she would be doing everything that she can to get folks back to work and off these streets. And this is what I'm going to do.